So your first car, you engine swapped?
Yes.
So that's a good indication of things to come in. So I just want to turn up to a light. Someone go, old boy in stuffy old dude in the Bentley, and then just.
We just thought some man named Gordon Murray was going to turn it. I did not actually know it was going to be him.
Well, yeah. What would you like from this car? I don't want to survive it. Cool. 1,000 horsepower. Enjoy.
It certainly won't be slow.
No. Hello and welcome back to the 56th Cars Rule Everything Around Me podcast with William to my right, myself Edwin, and then Nat and Callum from Retropower Cars. Actually, if you're a viewer, you can see that we're not in our workshop. They have very kindly lent us their podcast set at the Den because we've been having a tour of Retropower today and we've been nerding out.
Oh yeah, it's been great.
But we kind of came to you guys with the intent and purpose of having you on the podcast because we thought you guys would be very interesting guests. For those of you that don't know, if you're listening, you've never heard of Retropower before, I'm going to say something that maybe you'll take offense to. I don't know. But the way I've always described it is that you are Singer Restomods for any car on earth that you want. Is that fair to say, or is that a dirty word?
No. I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah. Funnily enough, I've said that to a lot of people in the past, but then a lot of people have said to me, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice using them as the benchmark. But I think they're absolutely amazing. They've inspired me massively. But
they're a pretty good benchmark.
To me,
it's not bad.
Yeah, it's the Singer are the most accessible thing that everyone knows when you say the word Restomod, you associate it with that. But the cars that you guys build are absolutely next level, and we've both been huge fans. We'll get into it a little bit later in the podcast, but I even tried to apply for a job. Well, I used to watch your website every day for jobs to leave CarSruleeverything.
Awesome.
Not a joke.
Wow.
Awesome. Sorry, Will. But
how the tables have turned.
Exactly. Before we get into any of that, though, we always ask the question whether cars rule or ruin everything around us this week. Will, as a flavour for the guest, do you want to start?
I was going to go with the rule because there's no major reason, but I am actually going to say ruin.
Why?
Because the CL500 that I just recently bought has been going great. I'm like 1,600 miles deep in that car, all wonderful, but I'm still driving in silence. I have the amplifier has failed. I sent it off to get fixed. The people that fixed them said, yeah, no, that's knackered. We can't fix that. So I looked for another amplifier and they're £900 for a used one. And I could fit that and that could be knackered and I'd be in the same spot. There's not really a proper solution yet. So I'm talking to a few people about dealing with that. So I'm searching for braking cars. It's a very small ruin. But yeah, the silence, it does become deafening after a while. After I've done many hours of silence.
I was about to say, you did a 2-hour journey up here today, right?
Yes.
On phone music?
No, this was silence today. and the odd ways. Bing. That was it. So just silence.
And either Nat, what about you this week?
Definitely, there's a bit of ruin going on. I'd say a little bit of ruin again. There's twofold ruin. One is we've got an L3. Me and my wife have an L322 Range Rover, so that's always ruin. So that's an ongoing flat line of ruin.
Yep.
But then also just at the point I thought, the fabrication's nearly done on my autogas car. Yeah, they've changed the rules. I've got to change the load of the tube frame now. So. Yeah.
I mean, that's like classically what's killed lots of homologation cars in the past, right? It's building a car, going, we're ready, and then going,
oh dear.
Actually, we've got to change that. We have to change all of it. Yeah. So a little bit of ruin, and then Callum?
It's a roller coaster, and I think this is basically the whole point of this ups and down with car thing, but we get it literally on a daily basis. There's highs and lows. I think at the minute, the ones that are clear in my mind are yesterday was a massive high because an engine that we've been involved with developing was on the dyno for the first time yesterday, and we were all slightly clenched that it might not go to plan because it's the first time it's run at all, and it is a completely scratch design block, everything. The whole lot is a one-off design, and it went so far flawlessly and made an immense amount of power, so that was a massive high. I'm going to go with the negative this week being my daily car, and shame is going to be poured upon me here. I do drive an EV as my daily car. I have a VW ID7, and for whatever reason, since I got my new car, that's the ruin. That's it. That's it. But since I got a new phone like a couple of weeks ago, my Google CarPlay, whatever it is, Android Auto. That's it. is just flatly refusing to do what I want it to do. And
you're with Will.
it's just like, normally
Silence.
voice control, perfect. You press the thing, it says, it makes a noise, you ask for what you want, it works. Since we got my new phone, constant irritation with it. Half the time, press the button and then it bongs again immediately afterwards, resets as if you've not said anything. No, this is not what you expected me to talk about.
First world problems.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Just say, an engine blew up, something didn't work, and you get, my electric car's not working.
It's just like the voice control of it is not working optimally.
Do an update, turn it off and back on again.
That's what I need to do. Yeah. Or possibly just set fire to the bloody thing.
For me, it's a rule because we have just started our next series, which is you'll see in the coming weeks. But it is Will and I buying back our first cars. Not our exact first cars, unfortunately, they're both scrapped. So we went out and bought identical versions. We'll actually get onto your guys' first cars soon. But Will, what was yours?
1.25 Fiesta style, Mark 6.
A recent acquisition.
style.
We bought it in the week.
Oh God,
It was a great buying experience because you went in with an offer. Do you want to explain the offer that you were?
Yeah, I don't know. I think things like the CL500 and Glada skewed my view of the value of parts on things. So the Fiesta, it's been a long time since I've had a Fiesta. It was up for $13.95, I think it was. It was a little bit rough. When I looked at it, it was rough. And the guy came out. I mean, it wasn't the best sales experience, I'll be honest. A guy came out, gave me the key and walked off. I was like,
he went, it's over there somewhere.
Please take it away.
And then his parting message was, it needs a starter motor or something. And then just walked off. And I was like, what do you mean? But then we started it, fine.
Yeah.
Drove around this little car park, fine. Turned it off, turned it on, turned it off, turned it on. I was like, okay, starter motor is starter motoring. So I don't know what's going on here. But it had an MOT that was up in like 6 or 7 days or something. So we offered 900 quid.
Yeah.
But said, look, you don't need to deal with those things. We'll deal with them. And then I thought, well, actually, I don't want to deal with those things. I just want to modify it as my first car.
Yeah.
So I offered them £1,200. And I don't know where the 300 extra pounds came from for the starter motor and an MOT, but nonetheless, Fiesta Mark 6.
Fiesta Mark 6. And then I've got...
Only car I've listened to music in the last month.
And then I've got a Mark 4 Golf 1.6 16 valve. So you know that bad boy's going on Porsche wheels. You know it's got Cayenne brakes coming. I'm going stance boy like I was when I was 17. But more than that, it's a rule. It's a rule, but also a ruin. We have to a little aside for an apology. Thruxton is very nice to us. You've heard us go there multiple times. But for the end of the video, it's quite funny. We went on a track day. We got black flagged. Will and I got black flagged and kicked off the track. Sorry, Thruxton.
It wasn't for noise either.
It wasn't for noise. No. It was because we were being prats. Because we kind of, look, when you're 17, you act like a prick in a car. And something about being back in your first car, we were being pricks again. So it wasn't anything too bad. They just said, you're getting a bit hot under the collar.
Fortunately, we were in very slow cars, which was part of the issue, actually. And overtaking is when 70 horsepower is trying to overtake 100 horsepower. It doesn't happen at pace.
No.
It's a drawn out procedure.
Yeah. By the time you're overtaking, the next corner's coming up, and you have to concede the space again.
The next lap is coming.
Or not.
Yeah. So that's what they thought. So yeah, we said we're very sorry, but it was quite fun, and luckily there was no one else on track.
Yeah, no, it was like we'd rented the place. It was wonderful.
It was also mainly because that was going to be my other little part of ruin. Because I went in at 8 a.m. to pick the car up. We both turned up to go to Thruxton. Ready, Ben was there for ready to be there at the track 9:30 a.m. And I noticed a pile of coolant underneath the Volkswagen Golf because it has a Volkswagen badge. That's the reason why. And it needed a radiator.
It's trying to become air cooled.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty sure my ID7 could even manage to have a pool of coolant under it.
So I had to do a radiator at 8 in the morning, run to Euro car parts, get a radiator, forget the fact that the Mark IV Golf requires the entire front end to be taken off to do a radiator, which was fun. Did it, stressed, and made it in the end. So it's a rule for that reason.
That's just like being back with the first car, though. Again, to be honest, that is the experience, isn't it? I need to get somewhere and it's in bits.
Yeah. Somehow I have less experience than when I was 17. I don't know. But yes, so that's our rules and ruins for the week. Please stick yours in the comments as always.
This is a quick shout out to NordVPN for sponsoring this episode. I've actually been using it loads recently.
Yep, and that's the same for me. We have been looking at booking flights to next year's Monterey Car Week, and sometimes the sites just don't work when you're running it from the UK. So we switch over to the US on NordVPN, and it works flawlessly.
I switched my location over to the US using NordVPN, and all of a sudden, all of the sites worked. prices came up, the websites worked properly, it all worked perfectly.
It's one of those things that you don't think you need until you start traveling or booking things abroad.
And it's handy day to day too. It keeps everything encrypted when you're on public Wi-Fi, and it blocks dodgy ads too.
If you want to try it, Nord are giving C.R.E.A.M listeners a big discount on their 2-year plan, plus an extra 4 months extra for free.
It's completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. So make sure you go to nordvpn.com/creampod or just hit the link in the description.
Let us get on to the matter at hand of you guys. First, I want to start with where did it start? So your passion is not only modifying cars, restoring them to use the very 2020, well, it's not even 2020, it's probably 2016 word of Restomod. Where did that start with? What were your first cars? What was your start in the business?
Well, that's much older than me, so I'll let him go first.
Much older. Start with us or start with the business? I mean, the start with us was sort of was just to be honest, it's not really cars. It's more just anything mechanical, anything with engines for me. I'm kind of engineering background. Anything with an engine, anything with wheels. I've always just messed about with it really, and I grew up around farms, not on a farm, but might as well have been. Messed about with tractors and trailers and stuff since I was sort of 7 or 8 or something, and that sort of thing. Just growing up in that environment meant I'd always messed around with things, and we drove cars around. Our parents had a bit of a small holding in the middle of nowhere. And we drove cars around the field, their little field at the back, and that sort of thing, and sort of all that sort of stuff.
Single digit age, or just getting into double digits?
Probably just into double digits. I think by that point, that sort of thing. And I'm working at the farm. I remember one of my early motoring experiences. I'd have been early teens, I think. Peugeot 504 pickup round a stubble field sideways, and that sort of thing. So that sort of growing up, that sort of experience probably had a few influences. And then
first car?
I like to say second car more because it's more interesting. The first car was a VW Polo, which I owned for a it was a saloon, a classic saloon. Rare.
Probably even would be really cool now.
It could really cool now if I hadn't totaled it within a couple of months of having it. So that I was 18 and that ended up end over end and on fire.
Nice. That's the best way for any first car to end.
And then I bought an Opel Manta because I decided that I needed a proper car that drove the correct wheels and so I got a Manta and had that for a while actually, and that was good fun. And then my first modified car was, which would have been showing my age now, 96. Got a newer Manta, an exclusive, so it was an 88. So it was 8 years old and already needed welding everywhere, which is just crazy. And then I put a 16 valve on throttle bodies in that.
So was the basis? Were you a Vauxhall man? Were you Vauxhall man?
Opel kind of, it kind of graduated to that because I like Mantas. And so between us, we've had many Opels, basically. I don't know how many, but lots.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Mantas are like the basis of Retropower, where you guys kind of began. Yeah. Was yours also a Manta at the beginning?
No, my first car was a C.R.E.A.M, which seems an odd first car choice.
Yeah, that is odd.
Impressed the young ladies with a massive family saloon.
So fighting within the family, Ford versus Vauxhall / Opel, that's I wouldn't want to be in the...
rear-wheel drive. So I had a C.R.E.A.M, it was a 1990... I think 92 or 93 C.R.E.A.M Azura when they were the Mondeo was due any day soon, and so they were arting up the crap old base model Sierras with fancy names and spoilers, even though it had a 1600 Pinto in it, which is like the worst engine you could possibly have. Well, other than maybe a 1300 Pinto, like in the early ones. But I had that, and then we I bought a 2-litre Pinto off. Was it
Phil and Mick Squires, rallying competition equipment? Yeah.
That was it. And then as he was putting it in the boot, I lifted the cam cover off, which was loose, and he looked at it and was like, oh no, that one's had like different cam put in it and stuff. And I was like, too late now.
It was on double valve springs.
We had like a Weber 38 D-gas carb off a 3-litre Capri on it. And
so your first car, you engine swapped?
Yes.
So that's a good indication of things to come, because that is so. In your own words, how would you, in a sentence or two, describe Retropower without my shoddy magazine title, tagline?
There's 2 ways to describe it. There's the down to earth way that I see Retropower, which is a load of guys messing around with cars in a shed, which is ultimately what it is. And we've always been keen not to put an overly corporate polished facade on things, because there are so many companies out there that do that, but there's no substance behind it. And we want to be the other way around, like have the substance, perhaps not polished corporate facade. if I was being all marketing minded, I would say we basically build bespoke cars for people where off the peg is not good enough, and those clients come from all around the world.
Yeah. I mean, just from some of the stuff we've seen today, not only because I've followed you guys for a long time, but even I wasn't aware, and I'm sure you weren't aware, some of the lengths that you go to from literally building entire bodies from the ground up and entire engine blocks from the ground up, as opposed to even buying something and then fashioning it how you want it to. You're bypassing that and creating it from scratch. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and it's this eternal striving to exactly match the car to what that client wants. From the way it feels, the performance, the way it looks, every detail of it. And when you get to a certain point, you're just like, well, actually, I know exactly what this guy wants, and none of the things I can buy off the shelf are going to do that.
Yeah.
We'll always look at it and go, that was a compromise because we couldn't.
Yeah.
And we're very grateful that we've got to this point where these people are coming to us with the budgets and the trust to say, just build it the best you can build it, which is amazing. It's a position we never envisaged from the start. There was never a plan to be where we are now from the start. At the start, we were just like, we like messing around with cars. Should we rent a shed and mess around with cars in a shed? And the shed got bigger, and we couldn't build enough. We couldn't do enough, so we started getting other people to help us and taking on more people. And then we wanted to build more cars, so we were like, we've surrounded ourselves with a team of people who are like us, basically, just love messing around with cars. That's it.
And for those that don't know of you or don't know of a car that you've built, what is a halo car that you would explain to someone as, this is a Retropower car?
There's a few. I mean, I think every time we achieve what we see as the halo car, then it resets the benchmark. So then the next thing, we're striving after the next halo car. The one that I think a lot of people discovered us after we built, and that a lot of the guys, probably myself and that included, would consider to be the sort of pivotal moment.
The reference point,
the pivotal moment in Retropower's history was when Gordon Murray approached us. So Gordon Murray, for those who don't know, was the chief designer at McLaren for the F1 team. He went on to design or be heavily involved with the design of the McLaren F1, and now, of course, has his own company, Gordon Murray Design and Gordon Murray Automotive, and they produce these amazing supercars like the T50. So he approached us to build what was essentially going to be a regular use car for him, a regular loose road car, which was, he wanted to go to work and back in it, which was a modified Mark 1 Escort. And that's also where we kind of properly went onto YouTube, because we'd always wanted to do some kind of visual show that showed the detail involved with building a car rather than just glossing over the details. And we thought, well, if it's Gordon Murray, it's a Mark 1 Escort, the audience for that combination is going to be enormous. If we don't do this on YouTube, we're never going to do it. So
if we backpedal slightly on that, when you were saying about wanting to show the detail, that's on a background of up until that point, much less so recently, but up until that point, we had quite a lot of approaches from TV production companies saying, "Oh, we want to do a series, and can we?" And approaching us basically about doing rehashes of wheeler dealers almost continuously. And we basically said we don't want to be involved with any of those things because they just don't show the real world. And then that got really us thinking, well, actually, we want to do our own YouTube channel, then we can just show how it really is. And that gave us the option. That gave us the opportunity to do that car. And then we pushed things really hard doing that car. There was another background to it, which was that we tried to have a financial discussion with Gordon on that car, and he wouldn't entertain a discussion. He just refused to discuss money. We said, you must have an idea of really what you want to spend on the car. And he just said, no, doesn't matter. Just want it right.
I mean, that's ideal. I mean, that's great.
It is, but it's actually quite difficult, because then there's never an excuse of, well, we only had the budget to do this.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line?
Limitation, yeah.
So it was, well, do we do a live axle? Well, it seems a bit silly to put leaf springs and a live axle on a car where there's no budgetary constraint. So what were we actually trying to do with the car?
Yeah.
And what's it actually for? And then, we're doing a wiring loom, but we're not going to put an old fuse box bought from the motor factors in it.
I was going to say, the man who famously, his biggest gripe on potentially one of the most perfect cars on earth is that there was a bracket mounted to a bracket. He's not going to overlook anything.
No,
he's not going to go, that'll be fine.
Yeah, at the same
worry
time, really easy, really nice guy to work with, really straightforward to work with, absolutely brilliant customer. You couldn't get a better person to work with because he knew the background of what you were doing. It was easy to explain things to him because obviously he understood most of it anyway, and he would understand the reasoning for things immediately as well.
Yeah.
So it was, but equally, you would never, do not attempt to pull the wool over that man's eyes on anything. Fortunately, we're very transparent with everything, so that would be, but goodness me, that wouldn't work well.
It's amazing that he came to you. We kind of said this downstairs, but that you didn't have to pursue him. There'll be a lot of companies that will want to go out there and get those clients by saying, look at what we do, look at what we do. But he just came, I mean, was it an email or something that came through?
Yeah, just a phone call from somebody who worked for him, and
he thought it was a prank call.
We just thought some man named Gordon Murray was going to turn it up.
Actually, no, it was going to be him.
He looks a lot like Gordon Murray. This
Same name as well.
Weird shirt on that guy over there.
So that was definitely a pivotal moment. As I sort of explained when we were chatting earlier, there was an upward curve already there in terms of the level of ambition of the projects. As more people kind of entrusted us with more ambitious projects, but then that curve suddenly had a kink in it, which zoomed it up very steeply.
Cool thing with that is he actually, because he does use it as a regular use car, because we registered that as a new car, we can do the MOT check on it each year, and you can see the mileage going on.
So that was as in like the...
It was 2019 registered, that car.
Oh, okay. So, that's
although it's had a historic plate but then put on it, but it's actually a 2019 plate Mark 1 Escort.
Mark 1 Escort,
So do you have to then jump through all of the legal loopholes? Because it's not even type approved. It's not even...
No, we had to IVA it and put it through type approval. Yeah.
So what is that registered as?
A Retropower twin cam.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Manufacturer's Retropower and the model's twin cam.
And do you know how many miles he's got on it by now?
I don't know now, but I know it's a reasonable. It's a good few thousand. Now.
So he is using it.
Yeah.
That I think that's something
we fairly regularly get photos and emails from people that have seen it out and about.
Because the thing with Restomods that I think is it's a blessing and a curse at the same time is that the people that start doing them are the people most passionate about the car. They're the person willing to put the time and all the money into getting it built because they love the car and they want it to work. But then it becomes a little bit trendy. Yeah. And then you see the singers where they're bought and then they immediately go up for sale or they immediately go into a garage. That wasn't the whole point. No. The point was to perfect the car.
And that's the benefit of doing one-offs
exactly.
like we do, is that you're only building one and that person's got to be passionate about it because they're never going to sell it.
Yeah, it's their car.
It's their car. Yeah.
So I've got some questions. We've got, what is either of you, the favourite car each of you have built so far at Retropower?
Nat first.
Oh, it's a tricky one now because it's a bit of a... I still do really like the Blue Alpha that we built. It's not the most perfected, the most refined car we've ever built, but I do love the combination of the sledgehammer under the bonnet, but the pretty body. It's the pretty body with a massive stick that it hits you with.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most me sort of car that we've built. I think over my favourite would probably be Gordon's Escort, just for the whole experience of doing it. But I kind of my favourite, as in the one that wins my heart the most, I think is still the Alpha, probably.
But so for those of you that don't know, back in, we think it was 2016.
Yeah, I think so.
I was working at Car Throttle. We were working together, and I had been following for some years a company called Retropower. And I begged and pleaded our manager, Jake, to please organise a filming day where we could come down and film anything. I didn't care what we were doing. I just wanted to come and have a look. And we ended up filming the blue Retropower Alpha Junior, which is also one of my favourite cars on earth. It has the Millington Diamond engine in it, which is a 2.7 from that year, making nearly 300 horsepower.
Just a bit over,
silly amount of power. But then the interior with you using pole positions at that time, right? The Recaros.
Yes.
Just have a look online. We'll put some photos on overlay right now, but it is beautiful. And the reason that we came back here as well, because I knew you guys. And then Callum, what's yours?
It's really difficult because it's a bit like asking the question of what is your favourite car, full stop.
Yeah.
To anyone. They kind of, every car has a job it has to do, and we're designing the car to fulfil that specific role. So having an overall favourite is quite hard because it depends what I'm doing with it. So like that grey Jag XJ Coupe we built, it looks stunning. It's amazing to cruise in. If I was going to use any of the cars we've built as a daily drive, I think that would probably be the one. But then the Land Cruiser that we've built, which you've probably seen in here, is just, I love it because I love the simplicity of it. It's not like, it doesn't shout modified car at all in any way whatsoever, yet almost every part of it is bespoke and machined, and it's the detail on it I love. But then like driving the Escorts that we've built, Murray's, probably even more, Project One, which we finished more recently because it had a BD in it, and I always felt the Duratec was just there was like 10% missing on the Duratec, I felt, in terms of the noise and the aggression from it.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing car to drive, but I felt Project One was a little bit more aggressive and a little bit just satisfied that for a country lane thrash, when you want to just like hammer it down some country lanes, incredibly, so stable because it was independent as well. So yeah, it really, unlike the Allegro, which I've not driven yet, I'm imagining how the driving experience is going to be because I'm expecting it'll be like a DC2 Type R. So I think that is the most well-rounded, complete package.
Yeah.
It's always difficult to say this because it's not like any of the cars we're building are incomplete, but I just feel on that one, it's such a usable car. It's still got the split folding rear seats. It's got a usable boot. It's like 200 horsepower, but it's going to feel like a Honda to drive with the same level of sort of refinement, NVH. It's going to be light. It sort of ticks almost every box. If you were trying to pick your favorite car, if you could only have one car forever, it would have to sort of do all of those things reasonably well. And I think that's probably the car we've built that is going to do everything pretty darned well.
So for those of you that don't know, that is an Austin Allegro, which if you're not from the UK, is a bit of a joke car. It's kind of seen as I don't even know what the right word is, but they're the butt of the joke for
synonymous with the worst of the British motor industry.
Exactly. And yet you've turned it into one of the coolest looking, but also a functionally very well driving car that's basically grafted with a Type R, which is ridiculous.
I'm proud, probably, again, let's get it driving, but I think, as an overall thing, I'm probably the most proud of that as an all-round product of anything we've done. It's the closest we've come to an off-the-peg OEM car in terms of fit and finish and general sound. Obviously helped drastically by using a lot of Honda, and all of the bits, all of the slightly sort of, we think this should work. We've done a few checks, everything stacks up, but you never quite know till you come to do it. But all of the things stacked up perfectly and really well, and everything fell into place as we'd hoped it would. And it was one of those ones where the boxes all just ticked nicely as we built it, and everything just worked right.
Yeah.
So the idea with that was that you take the worst possible car and make it into the best possible car. Do you get that often with like customers, or is it often? So I was going to ask if you get if there is a general client that you get that's like they're normally this type, but from the cars we've seen, they're so varied.
Yeah, hugely wide ranging, and that's one of the things I most enjoy. Now my role has transitioned away from being, obviously we used to be hands-on. It was just Nat and I to start with, so literally we did all the work. Now I do almost none of the work. But the thing I enjoy most now is probably the meeting such a broad spectrum of people and having so much involvement with them and seeing how these totally different visions of what a car should be come out of different people. And that's amazing. So there isn't any one type. Yes, the Allegro was somebody thinking, wouldn't it? I suppose if we backtrack a little bit, a lot of our clients have got a fair amount of money. It's fair to say. When you get to that position where you can basically buy any car, what car do you buy that then feels special?
Yeah.
Because, a GT3 RS is pretty handy if you want to go on a track day. A Rolls Royce is going to take you very comfortably somewhere. But if you pull up outside the casino in Monaco in any supercar or any luxury car, it doesn't really raise any eyebrows.
There's already one there.
If you pull up outside the Monaco casino in a wide-bodied Austin Allegro, that is a lot more of a talking point. And also, people can't form an opinion of you because there's no benchmark.
Yeah.
People drive something like a Ferrari, and it's an awesome car, but a lot of people will think you're a bit of a bellend. They just form that assumption. In most cases, unfairly. But you turn up in an Austin Allegro and people don't know what opinion to form. There is no preconceived opinion for that car. So they just like, that's awesome, or I don't know what that is, but there's never negative because there's no benchmark for that being a negative thing.
Yeah. Will, what's your favourite that you saw today?
It's a difficult one. It really is. There was I don't know if we can talk about the Saab.
Yeah.
With the Audi underpinning. That was cool. That was really cool. What I really like is when you seeing those cars that you've put another car underneath, basically. Yeah. So it looks like an old car, but underneath it's all functioning like that. That was pretty cool.
We'll put the renders overlay here because the renders of that car, I remember when I first saw it, when you first released those renders, I was like, nah, there's no way. That car looks obscene. If it's even 20% of what it looked like on the render, that is going to be a absolutely mental car. I've got one next.
Super customer as well. I mean, obviously, pretty much all our customers are super customers, but he's very interactive. We have a lot of to and fro with the owner of that car, and he's great. He's a great customer to work with. He's really nice chap.
Have you ever had to say no to someone? Like an idea to it, not necessarily on like taste, but on like this is you can't do this. This isn't possible.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah. Well, not from a this isn't possible point of view.
Yeah.
I don't think we would. As far as I'm concerned, basically anything is possible.
Okay,
but we have had to say no all the time. Like there's different categories of no. So there's no to inquiries.
There's
like somebody approaching us and saying, "Can you build this?" and us going, no, not because we can't, just because I don't agree with the idea of it. We have to. That's a very important thing when we're taking on new projects. It's a really long-term relationship with and there's a lot of money involved. There's potentially a lot of stress involved. So it's got to be somebody that we align with, we get on with, we share the vision for the end product. That's like number one rule, really, that we've got to understand the end vision. But then there's also the no's during the process. Usually in terms of design choices. And there will be occasions where people will say, I think we should do this. And I will have to say no, because from my design perspective, if you, or any of the team, it could be an engineering thing, could be George or Luke doing a cosmetic design thing. If we think that choice won't produce, isn't in keeping with the overall ethos of what we're trying to achieve. Yeah, I'll definitely say no. Well, it won't be a blunt, no, we're not doing that, but it would be, maybe you should think about doing it like this, or maybe you should think about
steering
doing it like
in
that.
The right way.
Yeah, steering in the right way, because that's part of what we would do. It's a bit like hiring an architect to design a house. There will be points that architect will go, you don't want to do it like that. I can see how you want to live in that house. That isn't going to work. And in the same way, we're looking at how somebody wants to use a car. And if they've already told us that, and they say, I want to do this, and we're like, that isn't going to give you the car you want, then
also, your name is not that the work would be any poorer, but if you start putting out some really bad looking stuff, like in terms of like aesthetic, people go, oh, hang on. Why do they keep
ties back into going right back to when we were talking about first cars this bit quite nicely. And the thing you learn when you first start messing about with cars at sort of 18, 19, 20, whatever, modifying cars, is the bit you don't know at that age, or I'm certainly speaking from my experience, is what you actually want to do with it. You just go, I want to put this engine in and I want to put these bits on. Well, you don't really think, why do I want to do that? What am I going to do with it? You just go, I want to do this. And what I learned a long time ago was I kept thinking, well, if I want to do this, I want to make it faster, I want to do this. Actually, what I really want what do I want it for? What do I want it for? And that's the key to all of these projects, is asking the customer, what do you want to do with it? What's it for? Why do you want to do this? And then that gives you the reasoning to work your way through the project and work out how to do it. And if you don't have that clear picture at the beginning, then that's definitely a no.
Yeah.
Because there's no point building the car if you're not sure what you want, because you won't end up with what you want.
No. Do you ever struggle not building the car you want to build? Because of that, for me,
no.
I would, if it was me, I'd be like, no, you want the comps. You want the compromators. You don't want those wheels.
I think I'll make it pink. And I go, it's going to be better in green or blue.
Do you ever struggle with that, or are you quite happy
not
to?
Really, no. I think
very rare.
It must just be the way my brain works, I suppose. Is I'm always thinking about what it was the customer originally said they wanted, and kind of putting myself in those shoes. And therefore, I kind of am making my choices, but not for the car I would be specifically
on their behalf.
Choosing. Yeah, exactly. If I wanted the car that customer's asked for, what would I do? But then that is doing what the customer wants. So no, not really. And we're, in the odd time, there is a car that would literally be like a dream car of mine, and they do crop up. So the BMW E9 we're building at the minute, the customer pretty much said to me, "You like BMW E9s, don't you?" Because we did an episode, I think, where we talked about that. And he said, "Well, I quite like them as well. Do you want to build one?" And we were like, "Yeah, okay." And he was like, "Okay, source one." And then he was like, "Well, how would you build it if it was yours?" And we were like, "Well, S54 engine, 6-speed manual, kind of listed off the basics." And he was like, "Build it like that then." Which is amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing to get your...
Would you prefer to do it where you provide the car rather than... There must be some difficult conversations sometimes where someone says, "Here's my old car, make it better." And you go, "Your old car is a colander now because it's full of holes."
The thing is, they all are. This is the thing. We're used to the fact that whoever sources it, they're all scrap to start with anyway. We're pretty used to the fact they're all pretty poor. And the roller coaster starts pretty early on with in the blast room. You get it blasted and you go, "Yeah, that's full of holes." But they all are. And I mean, I remember one of the, there's a classic moment, one of the Escorts that we built, one of the pair of Mark 1 Escorts that we built, we sourced a pair of cars for those. And I remember one of them came in, and I remember a few of our team sort of looking at it saying, "Oh, it's perfect, this car. It'd be rude to cut it up. It's I think the word unicorn was used, and we can't be cutting this up and doing all this." And then you blast it and you go, "Yeah. There might only be small holes, but basically it needs every panel."
Yeah,
this unicorn car needs every panel.
I put it in the booth. Where's it gone? It's in the booth.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't look that bad from a slight distance, but as soon as you get close up, it's just like any other car. It's still full of holes, and it all needs replacing. And they're all much of a muchness, really. Okay. They can get pretty bad before they're notably worse than any other one. I've had one or two odd ones where they were really good, but they're definitely the exception to the rule. A couple of Golfs, VWs. I had a couple of Golfs actually that have come through the ranks over the years that have been
not Mark 4s.
Okay, good.
Yours will be scrapped.
A pair of Mark 2s Mark 1 Cabrio and a Mark 2 that came through that barely needed any metalwork.
No one's retro powering a Mark 4 yet. You guys are now the clients. What would you have you build?
Oh God!
We'll build it for
start?
you.
Yeah. What budget have I got? How many cars can I choose?
That's completely up to you. But one car that you'd like to see.
Easy one for me. So I'll start because that's an easy one for me. Range Rover Classic. The Range Rover Classic I'm building, but done on a proper budget, not my budget.
And that's the one that's getting an LS.
It's got the LS in it, yeah.
And then what, sorry, this is really geeky, but I just want to know for me, what gearbox are you using? Is that
on that, it's a 6L80.
Okay, so staying GM on that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so Range Rover Classic, and then for you, Callum?
Even with that amount of time to think about it, I still don't know. It changes like
Is
every
it an electric
day.
Car?
It's an ID7.
Definitely not. Absolutely not.
No, that's an easy one.
It's an ID7 with a working CarPlay.
Right now that would actually be perfect. But
Will, what would you have? Because you aren't your mid 2000s is your area, but you like Mark 1, Mark 2 Escorts.
Mark 2 Escort is perfect, like with a more of a rally look that with a proper high revving ITB engine of some sort.
10 by 13s on the back.
Yeah. And just sideways. There's that. I always forget the name of the driver. I think it's Simon something. Just a video of a guy absolutely herring around a rally stage
with the jump,
and it doesn't really have any sponsors on it, so it just looks like a road car. It looks like a bloke just turned up to a rally stage and just started throwing it around.
Unfortunately, so I think it is. He's dead.
Yes,
Simon McKinley.
Yes, that's the one.
Simon McKinley.
That is the one.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But that video,
driver.
just sort of once a month, I watch that and go, I need to get one.
Yeah. I doubt I'd be able to drive it quite like that.
No, exactly. I'd be
his foot in the headlamp. But
in your head, were you doing that? You're just going around a roundabout, the A404. I want a 90s Continental. I'm not a Bentley man, but the 90s Continental, the R and the T and all of those ones. But I want it with a Hellcat. I want it with a Hellcat motor. Connected to just a ZF8. Like nothing that special. With line lock. And I want it to look mostly standard. Yeah. And then they had the Mulliner wide body just with filled out arches.
Yeah.
And I've had a render that I made when I was 17 of that car, but with the Aston V600 wheels, the 5-spoke. Those filled out in the arches.
We had a customer come over in one of them, didn't we?
That is
basically a standard interior, just looking all like normal, nice leather and wood.
And I want
absolutely melt the rear tires at any point.
I just want to turn up to a light. Someone goes, old boy in the dude in the Bentley, and then just.
I can see the appeal of that.
That's more along the lines of the sort of thing I'd probably go for. I'm more inclined in the direction of something that would be comfortable to cruise around in. Because it goes back to, again, what would I use it for? With the Mark II Escort, I love driving Mark II Escorts, but I don't think I'd use it that much. It would be like maybe on the odd sunny summer's day when I want to get the back end out and crash into a ditch like I did with my E30, then yes. But for normal use, I mean, there's probably one that's been on my mind a lot, which I'm really hoping somebody commissions with us. This is often what, the cars I want myself are the ones I hope somebody comes along to commission. Rover SD1.
Yes.
I'd love to do an SD1 and maybe with a Hellcat in it or an LT4 or some sort of supercharged modern V8. Like, fairly standard looking, maybe even with the old sort of mesh wheels they had on the twin plenum ones. A retake on the interior, but looking almost how it was, but the material qualities are all just nice. Spot on, yeah. Or maybe we've just had somebody inquiring, and I think probably likely to book in with us, a Mercedes 500 SEC wide body project with an AMG C63, basically full Restomod based on one of them, and I think that would be really high on my list.
That's cool. That's very cool. Random thought off the top of my head, I just remembered. Have you seen the Christian von Koenigsegg Esprit?
No.
So he has bought an Esprit. It's a V8 twin turbo gen, right?
I think it's a V8.
It's
I can't remember.
One of the really late Esprits, but he's then gone in and through just doing stuff from his own factory, built in like a new Apple CarPlay. He's used S1 Esprit recovered seat. It's almost a Restomod. But
we nearly booked one. We actually did some concept renderings for an Esprit a while ago because a customer was approaching us about it. Unfortunately, it never went ahead, but I really like those. Nat likes the early ones. I like the late ones, the rounded. Are they Peter Stevens, is it?
The late ones? Yeah.
Especially is it the 350 Sport that's got yellow with the green writing on the side? I absolutely love those.
So Gordon Murray first, maybe you get a CVK email saying, I want my Esprit done again. That would be cool.
Did it have a Mark IV Golf Cup holder?
It had also, and it had
cart spin everywhere.
Ben, you'll know this. What's the that center air vent? Is that Gamera? Or it had some Koenigsegg, he'd used the air vents from a.
He's going to have a few bits lying around.
Yeah, exactly. Which is funny to think that part is probably worth $5,000 list price. And he's like, chuck it in the Esprit, mate. That'll go there. Can you tell us the story about Redux? Can you talk about that?
We can, yeah. We probably wouldn't be able to go into massive detail
That's fine.
it, but yes, it is public knowledge.
Okay.
So yes, there is a man who came up with the concept of doing a Restomod E30 M3 and built one that we weren't involved with at all. And having handed that one over, I believe the client that car was for said, have you met us, talking about Nat and I, Retropower. So he approached us because the first one had been kind of done by approaching a variety of different subcontractors. So he wanted to try and do it as a one-stop thing. So approached us and we basically went kind of back to the drawing board with it and worked with him to develop his vision for it, which was basically an all-carbon-bodied, reshaped M3 where everything is elevated to the highest level. So but it's subtle. So like all the interior, all of the fascia panels that would be plastic and the controls that would be plastic are all machined from the billet. There's an entirely new engine been developed for it, a 2.7 litre naturally aspirated, kind of total reimagination of the S14 engine that used to be in it. And yeah, it's been a project that's been amazing to be involved with. And I think I can't speculate too much about the exact cars we're building at the minute, but I would say watch this space over the next couple of years because there's some extremely spectacular E30 M3s going to be doing the rounds at some point.
I mean, just from the ones that we looked at, obviously we can't talk about them, but they are absolutely mental.
Oh, ridiculous.
Like, just so cool. There is.
I want to shout about the one that you're probably thinking about, but I can't yet. But when it's out there, yeah, I mean, it's
hypercar detail. It's unobtainium spec. It's genuinely very, very cool. Cool,
but it looks like an M3.
This is
really cool.
That's what I said when you said that it's still flying under the radar. My uncle or someone would go, "Oh, that's an E30 M3," and then he'd carry on walking. He'd have zero idea that there was anything even slightly more special about it than a standard one. that to me is one of the coolest things about a Restomod. Doesn't need to have 17 wings and be, with liveries and all that sort of stuff.
Going back, and this is a two-pronged going back, but going back to what you were talking about the Allegro earlier outside the casino, and you wouldn't get any negative reaction to it because nobody really knows. The same with something like those the M3s is, you don't really know.
Yeah.
It could be somebody insanely wealthy or not insanely wealthy. Nobody knows. It looks like an M3. Yes, obviously it's not a cheap car, but it's a fairly anonymous car in a world of supercars. It looks fairly anonymous. And that also ties in with when we were talking about what would you build. The Range Rover Classic, and we've had this conversation a few times, I think they're one of the few vehicles that in standard form you can park, you don't know. Somebody driving one of those could be living in a tent with no money whatsoever, slightly less so now, but go back a few years, they were cheap.
Oh, yeah.
And yet you could park one outside a very, very posh hotel.
Yeah.
And you would not be able to make any judgment about the owner of a Range Rover Classic. You cannot tell.
Yeah,
they're totally anonymous in that respect, and yet look really cool.
They're classless.
That's exactly the word I use.
The one way that you can tell which one is which is that the poor one will have a One Life Live It sticker on it. And the funny thing is, on the way to this very building from your other building, a bobtailed orange Range Rover Classic came around the roundabout, puffing black soot out, One Life Live It, written straight down the side.
And the front letters rearranged to hangover probably as well.
But saying that I'm spotting a car around here, the one that left me like gobsmacked not long ago, it was in the Morrison's car park, which is literally out the back of here, and there was a Monteverdi Safari, is it? The thing that looks kind of like a Range Rover. But I was like, how is there one of those just randomly parked in Morrison's car park?
Johnny Smith is currently hunting down this Morrison's as we speak.
Yeah. But you won't like it unless it's absolutely knackered.
Yeah, exactly. It's not got any rust holes. Sorry, Johnny. We'll see you on the podcast soon. What else have I got? Let me pull up my next question.
Story, the Monteverdi one, isn't it? And in that they developed the Range Rover, the four-door Range Rover, and yet and yet they never got to reap the rewards of it.
Is there a sort of a regular road car that you see every day that you look at and go, I would, because it's not the sort of car that a client's going to come to you and go, I've got one of these. But you look at it and go, I'd like, because I remember my dad always asked me this question, and he said the RCZ Peugeot is ripe for it because it looks like the body. No, but it looks good.
Yeah.
But everything underneath is just crap. Like it's got a diesel engine and it's front wheel drive. But if that was mid-engine and rear wheel drive or four wheel drive, you'd have like a little French sports car or supercar. But is there a regular car you look at?
There are, like the Volvo V90, is it? I think that's a really nice looking car.
We talk about it most weeks.
Really?
We love them. Yeah, they're really cool.
I genuinely didn't know that either. But I think they're a ridiculously nice design. Weirdly, and this is totally... as a BMW fan, I want to like most modern BMWs, but I don't. I hate most of them with a passion. But the new M2, I love think is a really nice design.
Yeah.
I'm generally approaching these from a cosmetic point of view because I haven't driven most of them. They're definitely two. I mean, everybody will say this, but I wouldn't mind a GR Yaris. What else do I see that kind of catches my eye? Sometimes it's like ridiculous, mundane stuff, though. I can't even think what, but you just think, oh, that's unusual. And
that could do nicely with a wide body.
And then do you look at those, like something like the Yaris or the M2, do you look at that and go, we'd do a good job on that? Something that no one else is doing now, or is it too modern?
I'll tell you what we said recently. I was just trying to think. There's not much that I see, but I'll tell you what we've said recently that would be the interesting one, would be to do the IC conversion of the Renault 5.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Engine converter Renault 5 EV.
Well, that might break the internet if we did. But what engine? I reckon maybe the Megane R26. It's possibly, but...
So we Will got one from Renault because we wanted to test it, and even as an EV, it was quite fun. But we popped the engine. There are engine mounts.
Yeah,
there are engine mounts mounting to the. I think they knew what they were doing. I think they're like, someone's going to rip this out and put an engine.
Yeah. It just looks like an engine bay for an engine.
Yeah,
it looks like you take all that stuff out. I'm sure the floor is probably where all the batteries are might be the hardest bit.
I would love to do that.
We could definitely solve that.
And the Alpine version with it's just got those extra little
X's.
intake bits in front of the rear wheel, which looks so good.
Have you ever had that electric car? I mean, or someone or
as
somebody
a project. We've had a few passing inquiries. I mean, despite driving an EV as my daily, I don't necessarily agree with that. Essentially, it has to be matched to the use, as with all the projects. Yeah. And most of the projects we're building are fun cars, not the person's everyday car. Mm. And this is where, for me, the EV is a perfect car for me to just get 10 miles to home and back each day, because, you know, I can press a button in the house and warm it up and de-ice it and then get into it warm, and it costs me absolutely nothing to run. It's a company car, so the company car tax thing, there's basically no company car tax, or it's a small amount now. So it makes a huge amount of sense. But I never get into that car or any of the EVs I've owned and think like, oh yeah, I'm going to take the long way home for a fun drive. Yeah, like even in that Honda Legend that I've owned since you met me last time, so 9 years, still even in that I would occasionally go, you know what, I'm just going to go like 20 miles out of my way on the way home because I'm enjoying driving it.
Fun car, that Legend.
And so, we've never really done one because there's never been somebody approach us with an idea that I thought was sensible for an EV conversion, except one, which frustratingly we never did, but we were approached by somebody to do a Citroen SM EV conversion. Yeah. And I thought that was the perfect car for it, because the whole ethos of the original was to remove you from the driving experience. You were supposed to just waft along. It had this crazy power steering system that had zero caster, so it didn't self-center, did it? You had to steer back to center.
You had to steer back to center,
And it sort of, to me, that was so designed to just waft around effortlessly. It kind of made sense. So I think if the right car came along,
we would do it. Yeah, it's just nobody has ever come to us, other than that one, which didn't go ahead for other reasons. Nobody's ever come to us with an idea that I thought made sense. I had somebody talk about minis, for instance, and it's like,
why?
Yes, I get a small car to get around London with an electric engine in it, but putting they're like, you get like 300 horsepower off this little motor. It's like, why do you want to put 300 horsepower through the front wheel? I've driven a 250 horsepower red top powered
horrible.
It was terrible.
It was absolutely vicious.
It's like literally, you had to be in the middle of the road because it could go 2 meters that way or 2 meters that way every time you press the throttle.
Yeah, there's so much. This is one of the. I'm going to try not to rant now, but it's one of my pet hates is this sort of EV classic conversion thing where everybody says, oh yes, but it's really fast. Well, yes, it will be, and it'll be really fast, and for a week it'll be the best thing since sliced bread, and then you'll be bored, and then it'll be crap.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what will happen. And I guarantee I imagine there'll be maybe some people listening to this who have done this and are probably in that situation reluctantly admitting that actually, now they've experienced it going really fast in a straight line, it's actually a bit crap.
It does the same thing every single time over and over. It never changes what it does.
No. There's no heart. There's not the soul. There's not the changing noises from the engine. There's not all the things, the smells and whatever. There's not all the little things that make it worth having. The things that make it fun. It goes really fast, and you can say, "Oh yeah, I dusted a Porsche off the line in my Mini the other day, and it's great. That's great." And now it's done what it can do, and. Yeah.
You've touched on it there briefly with electric car conversions in Restomods, but what's your biggest gripe with the wider Restomod world? The thing that...
My biggest gripe at the minute is just that it has become such a thing.
Yeah.
And like it felt... I distinctly remember the first time I heard that phrase, when we were basically just mucking around building modified cars. That's all it was. It was just modified classics, and... you restore a car and sort of want to make it better, so you use more modern stuff in it. It seemed like a logical thing. And then it gained this title, and now there are so many people, and I think largely thinking, oh, there's loads of money in this, when there isn't really. No. The big number of price tags doesn't mean that those companies are making loads of profit, because there's a ton of work that goes into those cars. And now it's become this thing, like, what's the next thing we can Restomod, and then market it as a thing. And it's almost becoming irritating to me, because it feels like we're now enveloped in with all of these other people who are doing Restomods.
Who are sticking eBay Halo lights on a Defender. That is, I was going to say, that's my gripe, is the Halo, the I have Restomod a car, what have you done? I've put eBay lights on it that have a xenon bulb in the middle. That's it. That's all it means now.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember the conversation. I can't remember exactly when, but it was before we set up Retropower, and we set up in 2009. And I remember having the conversation with my parents at their house, and I remember saying to them, this was before we even considered doing this as a business. I remember saying something along the lines of, there's got to be a market for people that want classic cars that work.
Yeah.
And that sums it up for me is, yes, I know there's a lot of more detail to it than that, but that's where it all starts. Is you want the classic car because of how it looks, really. You want it of how it looks and maybe a bit of how it makes you feel. Beyond that, you just want the bloody thing to work. And that's that. And, all this, there's an awful lot of flannel and floweriness put around that, but that's the actual core idea of the thing.
It makes sense now why you're putting an LS and a Range Rover Classic.
Yes. You want the flipping thing to work.
That's what always surprises me with some of I think it's more the bigger ones you hear about, like the Diablo one we saw out in Monterey. That I was like, I haven't got the money to buy it, so I'm probably in the wrong here. Someone has said, I want that, and that's why it's being made. But it's not looking like a proper Diablo. No. I would want a Diablo that looks like a Diablo from that era, but it starts on the button. I can listen to my music, and things work.
You've hit the nail on the head with that as well, because Diablo and Countach, both are massively flawed cars, immensely flawed cars, and yet that's the only reason to own one, is because they're so flawed. Yeah. And if you get rid of the flaws, they're not that car anymore. Yeah. Though the only reason to own one of them is really because they're a flawed car. They're horrible. The driving position's appalling. Yeah, exactly. You don't actually get your feet on the pedals. And but that's kind of what makes them the car they are, and almost kind of why they got elevated to the station they're in, because they were such excess. Yeah. And if you kind of, it's one of those, it would be interesting to make some changes to something and try and improve some of those things.
He's talking us out of an entire business model. Just leave these cars standard because they're shit and that's what people like about them.
No, but I think there's certain examples where they're only unique because of the excess that went in. Yeah. And if you take some of that excess away, I think a lot of cars, there were just improvements you could make and they weren't improved. But with something like that, unless I doubt that in this Restomod they've completely removed the underpinnings and made it so it actually drives properly.
It's relatively standard.
And at that point, you've still got all the flaws. But you've messed around with it. It's not really.
It looks not. It doesn't look modern, but it still looks like a Diablo shape. But they've changed so much of it.
Yeah, it's
not identifiable as a Diablo from that era anyway. And that was what ruined that one for me. Yeah. I think there was the one with the 550 or the 575 Ferrari. Yeah, that was similar.
That also, but the Diablo one, there's a video of them driving. It might be Top Gear. I think we've talked about it before. They drive an original. I think it was a VT Diablo, and then they drive the Restomod, and he mats it in the proper Diablo, and the carbs are right there, and they make almost the McLaren F1 induction noise. And he does the same thing in the new one. Doesn't make any noise. I assume they've gotten rid of the carbs, or they've done, even ITBs, but the sound's gone. Your whole mission to Restomod the car is to bring out the qualities that are there that are good bits, but get rid of the things that are annoying.
Yeah.
And you've made it a modern car.
With the Diablo, it seems a bit of an odd one because it looks so far removed from it. That makes sense if you're aiming for it to be a completely new car, but it still retains enough of the original that it has the downsides of the original. So it seems like it has the downsides of the original and no upsides, really.
That's kind of better explaining what I was trying to get. But
then you look at, I mean, this links quite nicely into a car that's caused a lot of controversy recently that I'm a massive fan of, which is that Ring Brothers Aston DBS, which a lot of people have slated it because it doesn't look like an Aston DBS. But if you take that out of the equation and just treat it as a car, it's absolutely stunning. Like the level of detail, the level of execution on it. I've not driven it, of course, but I can see how the underpinnings have been done. I imagine it drives pretty damn well, especially compared to an original DBS. And for me, the design of it is awesome if you take out of the equation that it's supposed to look like a DBS.
Yeah.
My only question mark with that one would be throwing the cats back amongst the pigeons, though, is what's it for?
Cruising in America. I mean, what more could you want? We supercharged Coyote in it.
Yeah. Well, we talk about this quite often, that all three of us, we drove, Will and I drove, was it this year? Yeah, it was this year, a C6 Corvette, a pro-charged C6 Corvette that had the 7-litre LS7 in it. And I loved it. It was brutal. Had zero use on the UK roads. Yeah. Absolutely no point. But Ben is obsessed with C6 Z06s. So am I. I'd love to own one. But they have no use here. You can't use the 7-litre on the road.
Such a fast car.
Especially pro-charged. But take it to America, It would love it.
Yeah.
Just doing pulls on the highway all day.
Yeah.
That cars have different uses in different places that they go.
Yeah.
So I can imagine the Aston that you're building will probably drive and be completely different from their one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Totally
Totally.
different.
Yeah.
Both their owners will probably be just as happy for what they're doing with them.
Yeah, I think that's the nail on the head. Yeah.
And this is that we've gone round and round with our one discussions about the engine initially with the customer and ourselves trying to work out what to do with it. And we've ended up with a Chevy LT1 in it, which a lot of people view as a bit of a cop-out because it's like only, in inverted commas, 450 horsepower. But the remit was never to make a brutally fast car.
Yeah.
It's going to be cruising around the UK, Europe. A lot of the roads aren't going to be like massive, straight American-style freeways. And we wanted to keep the wheels quite small on it, so we couldn't put massive brakes out. I say quite small, 17-inch, but we couldn't put ridiculously big brakes that would cope with like a 2-ton car with 600 horsepower. So actually, when you kind of take all of these different factors into account, often the sort of path is just laid out in front of you, and that's the obvious choice. It's a light, reliable, well-proven engine that you can get with a factory map that makes the power that he wanted. It doesn't create like clickbait YouTube headlines. But that's not what we're doing. We're building cars to suit a specific job, and in this instance, that was the perfect engine for it. But I would say for the Ring Brothers one, I would imagine that person's going to be cruising some highways on supercar tours with a load of mates and having it's ridiculously powerful. I can't remember. It's 1,000 horsepower. Having 1,000 horsepower then in that car, and also because of the way it looks, you can't have the car looking like that. And it not have a shit ton of power. Whereas ours is going to look exactly like an Aston Martin DBS. So 450 horsepower is faster than they ever were originally.
Maybe their goal was to put it in a hedge.
Probably.
Go, here you go. Here's 1,000 horsepower.
And with the keys.
Well, what would you like from this car? I don't want to survive it. Cool. 1,000 horsepower. Enjoy.
It certainly won't be slow.
No. Will, have you got any other questions? If not, I think
I've got none.
I think we're pretty happy there. If you leave us any longer, we will get into deep car nerdery. And I know you guys listening can only tolerate so much. But thank you guys both for not only welcoming us here, but letting us do the podcast here on your set. It's been very, very good. We will definitely be back for, more just to poke around.
Yeah.
We'll say it's under the guise of doing a podcast. But thank you very much for listening to this episode of Cars Rule Everything Around Me. We will be back next week, as always. Remember, cash, get the money. $.
Dollar bills, y'all?
There it is.
Yeah, that's the one.
Goodbye.